Ooh, that is ice cold. Wonderful. Welcome back, guys. We are episode 17 today. So let's start off with our sponsor of the podcast, AnyWin Field Spray. Again, I can't recommend it enough. It is the best scent elimination spray I've ever used. There's a lot out there, a lot that I've used that I feel like didn't work. AnyWin, I feel like every time I use it, it does work. The main thing I love about it is that it kills all odors, both synthetic and bacteria-based. So, it's going to kill all your actual human scent, and then also any of your new equipment or boots or anything you buy. You spray that down, kills the smell on that too. It's just the best stuff out there. A lot of people are starting to use it now. Just tons of success stories on it. And I could not back it any more than I already do. I used it for the first time when we were Canada bear hunting. I had clothes that smelled really bad. Sprayed it down, dried. Smell was completely gone. Just absolutely mind-blowing. I looked at it, Jake, and I was like, what kind of witchcraft this is? Because obviously it works. So AnyWin Field Spray, thanks for being the sponsor. Thank you to Jake and Ashley. Honestly, two of my favorite people in the world. If you're looking for a company that puts out an incredible product and is also owned by incredible people that are just honest and always willing to do everything to make sure you get the best experience, Jake and Ashley are two of the best people that I absolutely know on this earth. So thank you, AnyWin Field Spray, and let's move on. All right, so today going to talk about a couple different things. Don't know how long it's going to be. We'll see, but first thing I was going to talk about is I went out and sat actually for the first time this year. Last week, it would have been a week ago today actually. Went out on just a public piece. Went and did a little sit with some of the new equipment. Really, it was just kind of to go through the motions of getting used to everything. Had some new equipment to test out. So I got the new Hunt Arsenal Icon X26. I think I had mentioned that I was going to buy. Got those in. First thing I did with those things were spray them down with AnyWin, because even though everything was fine with them, they do have a rubber. It's I wouldn't say it's a coating, but part of the stick has rubber around it, I think, to help keep it quiet. So that way, if you're banging on stuff, it's not loud. But obviously, it basically smelled like a brand new tire. So I was like, well, that's not a scent I want to take out in the woods. So I sprayed them down with AnyWin, got rid of the smell, moved on. Obviously, that's why you use it. So I went out with my buddy Teddy. We went out to this public piece. We actually pheasant hunt this area. It's just a public piece that we pheasant hunt. Always have good luck there with it. It's about an hour away. And just mostly, we it's a good little spot, and it looks like there would be deer moving through there, and sometimes they probably do, because there's a little bit of sign there. It's just basically some really good thick CRP, but then it's got a creek running right through it, and some trees you can get up into. So we went out and kind of both picked our own tree in kind of different areas and tested it out. We didn't see anything. The weather was, I don't know, it was okay. It was actually like a little bit of a cold front that we had, but also it was like super foggy as the night went on. So it was really foggy by the end of the evening. But just wanted to go through, test stuff out, get up in the tree, kind of go through that motion of like setting everything up, tearing everything down, knowing, the order of which you want to do things, and which actually really helped, because I did a couple things kind of backwards on how I probably should have, and I realized it. And so it took me a little bit more time. All in all, it still wasn't terrible, but it felt really good to go through all that, get through that motion. Honestly, I'm going to be doing a lot of public land hunting this year for the most part, which sounds crazy in Nebraska, and honestly, probably not the greatest idea, but and I'll get to that in a second, just kind of why that is. But neither one of us saw anything. The fog, I'm sure, obviously didn't help, and again, it's just kind of one of those areas that I think sometimes there are deer, sometimes there aren't. There's not a lot of great cover around in that whole area where we were. So it's just kind of hoping you're getting something traveling through, which during the rut might be a really good spot. But pheasant season starts here this weekend, and I know that spot gets absolutely pounded for pheasant season. So I'm not really holding my breath for deer in that spot anymore. We were kind of hoping maybe getting out there before pheasant season that we might get lucky and catch something that's bedded in there because, there's no pressure yet, but it's going to get absolutely obliterated by pheasant hunters, which it should. I got no problem with that. But being on the eastern part of Nebraska, there's not a lot of great public land for pheasant hunting. At least I wouldn't say there's not a lot of great land. There's just not a lot of it as far as public goes. Just very minimal amounts, not enough for the population that we have over here, unfortunately. So yeah, we've had good success there pheasant hunting, which has been fun, but be there. If you want to be in this spot opening weekend, you better be there. You better either sleep in your truck overnight or be there at like 3 a.m. Otherwise, you're probably not getting that spot because it's only one of like 2 spots in that area. So it's rough. But yeah, felt good to go through all that. This weekend, so today is Tuesday, the 21st of October. Me and Teddy are going to head out on Thursday. We are heading up to I'd say it's like north central to northwest Nebraska. It's not super far west, but far enough to go public land hunt and a couple pieces. There's actually quite a bit of area up there in the area that we're going to, and we've been there plenty of times. I've talked about that before. We rifle hunted up there for years, and we've just never gone out for bow, and we're just going to give it a shot. Don't have high hopes, but high enough. If we could get a chance at a shot at one deer out of the 2 of us, at a decent buck, we'd be pretty stoked with that. And honestly, on Nebraska public land, that'd be an accomplishment. But there's some pretty good pieces of ground, so I definitely think it's possible. But we'll see. So pretty excited about that. That's part of the reason, wanting to go through the motion of getting up in a tree and doing all that stuff with all the equipment and everything. So yeah, we'll be headed out this Thursday, and we're leaving Thursday morning, coming back Sunday night. So it's not gonna be a super long trip. So we're just gonna do our best to try and find some deer and find some good sign and get on them. I mean, it's gonna be tough, but we're excited. It's something new, something different to do instead of just going and sitting on the permission pieces we have. And the permission pieces are great, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But it's exciting to go to a different area because where we're going is north, very north Nebraska, and where we sit on our permission piece is south. So 2 very different areas, 2 very different. What's the word? Oh, I can't think of it. I'm drawing a blank. But it's just very different terrain. I guess that would be what it is. As far as the terrain goes, very different from between the 2. So excited to do that. Excited to go just see if we can get lucky. Whether we get a deer or not, we're going to have fun regardless, but we're going to work our asses off, try and get on something and see if we can get lucky and get a shot. Hunting up there for rifle for years, I had really good success. I hunted up there for, I think I was like 13 or 14 the first time me and my dad went up there, and we hunted there all the way until I was, I want to say 25 or 26. So like 10, 11 years we hunted up there, and we shot a lot of really good bucks. Almost there was only like 1 year where we didn't get one good deer. And there was a lot of years that we didn't always shoot a ton of deer, but it was like between the 2 to 4 of us that were always there, we always had an opportunity at like one really good one. And there were some really good ones that we missed opportunities on. I'm talking, I would honestly say probably at least 1 booner, whitetail, and 1 booner mule deer. That we just didn't capitalize on, but we saw them on public and almost got a shot at them. So it's possible to do in Nebraska. It's very rare, but it is doable. And not saying that's going to happen on this trip, but very hopeful that maybe we'll just get lucky. I'm not saying a booner, but I'd be happy with honestly, I'd be happy with like 120 or 130 inch deer, to be fair. But bigger than that would be great. So yeah, we'll be headed up there. Pretty excited about that. Just a fun trip. So, so this last weekend, Went out to our permission piece in southwest Nebraska and went out. The whole goal with this last trip was to go out. Took my wife and kids all out there. My 16-year-old son wanted to try and get a deer with his bow. Hasn't killed one yet. He shot one last year, but it was a really tough shot. And I don't really blame him. I kind of blame myself, but also it's just really tough situation. It's honestly, it's a tough situation for any young hunter as far as it comes to bow. I had it set up where we were sitting that he should have about a 10 to 15 yard shot out of a tree stand. And obviously he had practiced shooting plenty and was shooting really well out to, 15, 20 yards, no problem. And then that deer ended up coming in to like 3 to 4 yards. So he ended up having to shoot basically straight down, and I had never had him practice that. That was just kind of my mistake on that part. And I honestly didn't think that was going to happen. And so he ended up hitting it really high. We found very little blood. We searched all over for this stupid deer and, just didn't work out. Never found it. It was a really bummer situation, but anyway, so fast forward to this year, went out again, ended up sitting in the same spot the first 2 sits, but the crops are different this year. It's beans over there this year, and they just cut it, so we didn't see a single thing for 2 sits, which really sucked, because last year we had a lot of action, which was great, but this year just no action in that spot. Moved on to another spot where I have one camera down there, and we've had some deer, but hadn't had really any movement recently, but went down and sat down there, had a doe and 2 really young fawns come in. Probably could have killed the doe, but just decided, it's got these 2 young fawns with it. And honestly, I'm really trying to get him a buck, whether it's a small buck or whatever. I don't really care, but I know he'd like to shoot a buck, and so we just kind of passed on that. But that was the one and only thing we saw was that. And unfortunately he got sick while we were out there, and I don't know if it was allergies or if it was an actual sickness, but it kind of happened like twice now this fall where he just like got this crazy, like completely stuffed up and like just complete crazy runny nose, like can't stop. And I think it's got to be allergic to something, whether it's like ragweed or corn. And I think because of everybody that's harvesting out there, it was super dry out there and windy, so it's all blowing around. So I think it's something with that, honestly. But so he was kind of miserable, but he kept hunting, which was pretty cool. I was like, you don't have to go if you don't want. And he's like, no, I want to go. So we kept going and just didn't get the opportunity we were hoping for, but it was a really fun trip. Kids had a blast. Always fun being out there. Wife made some awesome meals out there. Made a great roast beef and mashed potatoes. Oh, I love a good roast, good pot roast. And then she makes this soup called cheeseburger soup, and it is the best soup. I'm not a huge soup person in general. Like, I'll eat soup. It's grown on me a little bit, but like, I'm not one to just like want a lot of soup. And she makes this one soup called cheeseburger soup, which is a soup that her grandpa made, and which is a soup. I believe he got the recipe out of the newspaper way back in the day, out of the Omaha World-Herald. And this soup is the best soup. And I don't even know what's all in it, but it's so damn good. And I could not stop eating it. Oh, it just made me enjoy deer season even more. Just having some soup like that and a good pot roast, like that's just makes deer season even better. It makes you feel good, especially now the temperatures are dropping. It just makes you excited. Yeah, no, it was a good trip. Got out there and everything was all good at the house. And Bennett, my 5-year-old, probably shot 200 to 300 arrows while we were there, because that's all he wanted to do was go outside and shoot arrows at the target and go kill a deer. That was what he was talking about. Kill a deer or a raccoon, because I told him he could kill a raccoon if he saw one. So he shot probably like 200 to 300 arrows, which is hilarious. Like the whole time we were gone hunting or even we were home, all he wanted to do was just go shoot. So that's a lot of fun. Pretty excited about that. He just loved to shoot his bow. Daughter was out there shooting too, so a lot of fun. Good trip, just not enough deer, which is one thing I was going to talk about. I'd mentioned this before with kind of the habitat out there. So 2 of the pieces that we hunted in this stretch of dried up creek got sold, which is fine, whatever. Like, so we knew we weren't going to be able to hunt that anymore, which is not a big deal. But the issue I have, and I did mention this, is the people who bought it, there's two different people that bought these pieces. They went in and they just absolutely gaped the area. I mean, they just tore out so much. They obviously went in with heavy equipment, and there was two areas of like really good bedding and cover, like the two best areas we had, and they just bulldozed them all down. So, which like I said, it's obviously they're trying to farm as much as they can. Obviously, they're bigger operations trying to farm, so I get that. But man, I mean, the deer population is already tough in that area over the last couple of years, and now it's like almost like the deer don't even exist anymore, especially around where we're hunting, because the couple good areas that they still had good cover are gone. So, when you're talking about deer population, you got to have the habitat for them. And I think the habitat in Nebraska is just getting worse. Unless you're on a river property, there's not very many areas that are like good timber properties besides the river. And that area now where we're hunting is just, it's rough. Like there is, I don't know. We're kind of at the point now where I'm ready to move on, which kind of sucks. It's like, I would love, because we have the house out there, like I'd love to be able to stay out there, because we do enjoy the house and going out there, but it is 4 hours away, which kind of sucks. It's a little longer than you want, but it's worth it when you have the deer. But the last couple of years, it's just getting worse and worse, and now it's just terrible. Like there's just hardly any deer around. Like it's one thing to like be like, yeah, we don't have any giant bucks around, which is understandable sometimes, but now we just hardly have any deer, and that just makes it worse. Just hardly makes it worth it. It's like, do you really want to drive out there and hunt it? Like that's why I was talking about, hunting public this year. There's a few public pieces out there that are pretty nice ground to hunt. And honestly, I think for the most part, when I go out there, I might be hunting those over the permission pieces, which is kind of sad, because you would think the permission pieces would be better, but right now they're just not producing much deer at all, let alone big bucks. I got a picture of the first nice buck all year, like all summer, all fall. I haven't had a picture of a single buck probably over 100 to 110 inches. Like 110 would be like probably pushing it. That was like the best buck we've had a picture of all for the last 4 months, whatever. And finally got a picture of a buck the other night in one of the areas, which is a completely different area than I'm talking about as far as where the habitat got tore up. It's another spot that we have access to out there, but it's one of those spots that doesn't really hold deer. Like the deer just kind of pass through there, and really nice buck though. I mean, probably one around 140 class deer. So great buck. So that was exciting to at least see that. But that area that buck is in is almost damn near impossible to bow hunt. There's no trees to get into. It's basically just like this draw that's in between these ag fields. And it's really only good during the rut, just getting deer that are just coming through to check for does. So great rifle spot. I do have a rifle tag this year, and honestly, if I haven't killed anything about rifle season, I'm probably going to go out and whack something with a rifle, because it's been too long and I'm just kind of tired of it. But that was the first buck that I've honestly even seen on camera that I'm like, ooh, that's a really nice buck. The rest of them are all just like dinks, or just like, yeah, I mean, it's another young buck. Like, so that was exciting. At least that was this morning. So bucks are moving around, which is good. We're at that point of the year where I think these bucks are starting to move. Some of the does might be coming into heat early. You might get that random one that does. Otherwise, the bucks are just starting to move around and kind of, they're getting all fired up, testosterone's rolling. And so that's exciting. But otherwise, the couple public pieces that are out there, I think we'll be hitting those public pieces a lot. Me and Teddy will be out there in November, leading up to the week before firearm season. So we'll be testing that out and trying to see if we can get on something, because right now options are not great. And I don't know how everybody else is in Nebraska. If anybody else in Nebraska listens to this, I'd love to hear kind of, what you're seeing. If you're seeing good numbers, if you're seeing good quality deer, like I love hearing from people just to see kind of what's around. I mean, I know there's really good deer in Nebraska, and obviously the ground that you're on can make a big difference. And I love seeing big bucks, whether it's, on a property that I hunt or, some other property that somebody else has. I love hearing about it. Love seeing big bucks around, and hopefully we can get some more around at some point. So one of the things I was going to talk to you about today was kind of going off of my trip out with my family out to where we hunt, was getting kids into hunting. Obviously, I'm not an expert at this because it's still new to me. And other people might have better ideas, that people that have done it. But I was just going to kind of say, like, how do you do it? When do you do it? The best way to do it. I was just going to kind of go through how I've gone at it, how I've approached it so far. Because now I've got a 16-year-old boy, I've got a 9-year-old girl, and a 5-year-old boy. So it's kind of trying to figure out, because I kind of go based off of how my dad did it with me. Now, my sister, I have one sister. She never really showed any interest in hunting. And that's fine. That's just kind of the way it is. Not every kid does. That's one thing I will say. Not every kid wants to hunt or will hunt. But obviously, seeing my dad hunt, that's all I wanted to do was hunt. My dad hunted and played sports. So what did I want to do? I wanted to hunt and play sports. So that's kind of the way I've looked at it, just because that was what my dad did, and it really worked on me, I felt like. So and a lot of that, I think, stems from really just spending time with your kids. That's an important piece of it. So whether you have kids or you're going to have kids in the future, hopefully, any of these things that I talk about help you out. Or maybe you have different ideas, and that's fine. Like, I'm not saying this is the way to do it. I'm just saying this is how I've been doing it so far, and it seems to be working. And I don't think, not every kid is going to be a diehard hunter. I think that's one thing that I think there's a lot of people, and you look at this in a lot of different areas of life, especially sports, like, because America is so pro sports, everything. You have a lot of parents that either were athletes, like good athletes, or they were okay athletes, but wanted to be great athletes. And so when they have kids, they do everything they possibly can to try and push their kids into sports and to be great at sports. Like, I want my kid to be a D1 athlete. Like, they push. They're trying so hard. They put them in every single select. They're paying all this money. They're doing all these travel sports. Like, they're doing everything. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but a lot of times the kids get burnt out, or they just end up just not liking it. Or honestly, they're just not that good. Like, I've seen it all. I've seen all those different aspects. Sometimes the kid's just honestly not that talented, not going to ever be talented enough. Sometimes the kid just hates it. And sometimes the kid just generally has no desire to play sports at all. And I don't think you should force your kid into something that they don't want to do, personally. I'm not saying you shouldn't push them to excel at things, but they can find other things that they will excel at instead of sports. Just like with hunting. Some kids will excel at hunting and some kids won't. So it's kind of one of those balances that, let's say you have 3 or 4 kids, which honestly in this day and age is pretty high. Maybe you have 1 or 2, I don't know. But not every kid is just going to want to do exactly what you want them to do or how you want to do it. I think you got to let kids find their path. Now, you should try and guide them. I'm not saying you force them into anything, but you try and guide them into stuff that they obviously, you can tell they really enjoy and really like and are good at. If your kid finds something that they're good at, and you usually as a parent should be able to see it. And if you're a parent that can't see it, or you think your kid is really good at this and they're not. I honestly don't even understand how people think that, because I can tell you right away as, somebody who grew up in sports and has coached and done other stuff. I can tell you right now if my kid's good at something or not good at something. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, my kid's the best, but I can tell if he actually has skill or talent in something and is, above average, or I can tell you if he's just not good at it at all. And if they're not good at it at all, I'm like, all right, let's try something different. Let's try a different sport. And I just find it funny that there's so many people that just like, they'll pick one sport and it's just like, this is what my kid has to do their whole life and they're going to be great at it. Well, that's not the way it works. The best thing you can do is get them into multiple different sports and see which ones they excel at and are above average at and can keep working. And as they keep getting older, don't quit all the other sports. Keep them playing multiple sports so that way athletically, they get better athletically overall. And then when they get to high school, you're going to have certain ones that they're going to excel at better than others. And so maybe they don't want to play the sport anymore. And that's fine. But again, I got to move on from sports because this isn't a sports podcast. I'm sorry. I love sports. I love athletics. But also youth sports is absolutely bonkers these days. And some days I'm like, I wish my kids didn't play sports at all. But it's not the way it works. At least not for me. But I feel like it's kind of the same way with hunting though. Like, it's tough getting, what age do you get him in at? That's one of the big things, I guess I would say. I didn't start hunting. I started pheasant hunting with my dad. My dad started taking me, he took me when I was like 5 or 6, but it was like, we kind of went as a family and I didn't necessarily go walk at like 5. But then at 6 and 7, I remember going and hunting. Like I just had a BB gun. I would walk with a BB gun, and obviously my dad had a shotgun, or if we went with a couple other people or whatever. And I remember anytime my dad would leave me, like there was times I remember he'd be going out on like opening day or something like that with a different, a whole group of guys or something that invited him. And he'd leave me, and I would be so sad. I'd be crying. I was just so disappointed. I wanted to go so bad, but I got it. I understand it now later in life. It's like, you don't want to necessarily be the one guy that brings a kid that slows everybody down when you're in a big group that's all trying to go hunt and do this. So I understand it now, but like I remember as a kid, just like bawling, just being like, you didn't take me. It's tough. And I go through that now because my 5-year-old, he wants to go do everything that I do. It doesn't matter what it is. So I always feel the same way. I feel bad leaving him, but it's just, they're just not quite there yet. But I think part of the way that you get them into hunting, number one, you show a passion for it. I think that's big. You have a passion for hunting, for whatever you're hunting, whether it's, upland game, whether it's deer, whether it's waterfowl, antelope, elk, whether it's varmint hunting, coyote, raccoon, whatever, I don't know, whatever you're into. But I think showing a passion for it, and, when you show a passion for it and you're constantly working on certain things for the thing you're trying to hunt, or you're practicing things, it's just, again, like a sport. When you're practicing and constantly doing these types of things, that's going to get your kids interested because, number one, they want to spend time with you. So when you're spending time with your kids and you're doing things that you love, that's going to be stuff that they're going to end up loving. And so the thing that I always try and do is I always try and find a way to involve my kids, whether that means me actually taking them or just like whatever I'm working on, whatever I'm doing, I'm always trying to involve them so that way they're learning with me and they're always invested in it, and they're finding the fun in it. They just constantly, they want to learn, and they say, hey, I want to do this. Oh, this is cool. You get to do that. I want to do that. That's, to me, is one of the best ways you can get your kids involved. And, it's instead of just like randomly just being like, all right, let's go sit in this deer stand for 3 or 4 hours. And you get out there and 10 minutes in, they're like, I'm bored. It's like, yeah, you should expect that to happen. They're going to get bored. They're kids. Now, eventually, they're going to not be as bored, but it doesn't necessarily mean you got to take them right away. I've taken my kids, always start with rifle. I take them rifle hunting, and we don't sit as long most of the time. And we sit in a big box blind because it's easier to do than getting them in a tree stand or something like that. Yeah, I just think getting your kids involved in whatever you're doing is the best way to do it. If you want your kids to get into any sort of hunting or any sort of sport or any activity that you really want your kids to get into, the best thing you can do is to do that activity yourself and involve your kids. That is 100% the best way to do it, because kids genuinely want to spend time with their dads and their moms. Like, they want to spend time with you. So the more time you can spend with them doing what you love it's going to translate into your kids loving that same thing, because they get to do it and they get to spend time with you. And that, to me, is the best way to get your kids into hunting. But on top of that, I will say hunting is not the most important thing in life. And everybody needs to realize that. It's a very big aspect in life to a lot of people, and some people will try and make it their life, but it's not the most important thing in life. If your kid decides he doesn't want to be a hardcore hunter like you, that's okay. Some kids may just end up wanting to be those people that go out and just go rifle hunt once a year. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think, even if you just get them into that, that's something better than nothing. I grew up only rifle hunting for deer. I didn't bow hunt my whole life until I was in my mid-20s. And I always wanted to bow hunt, but my dad didn't bow hunt, which was fine. I didn't get into bow hunting until me and my buddy got into it, because we all of a sudden were just like, we want to hunt more than just 9 days out of the year. And then we got into bow hunting, and we just realized how much more fun it was, and how cool it was to get close to animals like that and try and outsmart them. And that's what got me into it. So, I wasn't a diehard bow hunter my whole life. It's just, I wasn't. But I grew into it a lot more. And now I'm doing the same thing with my kids. I'm like, all right, so they see me invested in this, putting all this time and energy and money into it and working on it. And now I got a 5-year-old that's outside shooting more arrows every day than I am. That kid will be out there shooting 50 arrows a day, easily. He's 5. And then he comes in and tells me, I shot a deer. I'm like, good job, buddy. He's out there wearing a bino harness that I gave him with a rangefinder, ranging and shooting. I put a lighted knock on his arrow, and he thinks it's the coolest thing in the world. That's how you get kids into bow hunting. It's one of those same things that I talked about this on one of my first podcasts. A guy that I play on the worship team with at my church, he's an incredible pianist. Incredible musician in general. But he said, and I remember him saying this, somebody asked him, how did you get all your kids to be so great at music? I think he has 6 kids, and like every one of them is great. They're great musicians. And they're like, how did you do that? And one of the things he said was, I never pushed my kids into it. But what I did was I just constantly had musical instruments all over our house. He's like, every room you went into, there was some sort of musical instrument. And so they always would just go into a room, or they'd just be doing whatever, and they'd see an instrument, they'd pick it up and start messing around with it. And they all played a bunch of different instruments, but they all just had different options. It's like they fell in love with something, and something with music. And so one of the things I do with my kids is I always try and make sure there's a bow that they can shoot. I have a couple different BB guns. So they always have something that they can actually do. And so we do a lot of that. And then seeing me shooting my bow or working on stuff I'm doing, it's always funny. They see the videos we do for like the YouTube and everything. And so now they literally will like want to take a camera and like do their interviews or whatever, which I'm not saying I want my kids to be a YouTuber or they need to be a YouTuber, but it's just funny because they see us doing it. They see me and my buddies doing it, and they think it's cool and they think it's fun. So then they're always wanting to do the same thing, and it's hysterical, and I love it. But yeah, I think you just got to try and get your kids involved, get stuff they can use and play with. I just think that's one of the best ways you can get kids into anything. And it's not always going to be exactly what you want. They're not going to always exactly have the passion. My 16-year-old, he likes hunting. He does. I took him first time when he was 5, and we went rifle hunting. Had a blast. He's not a die-hard hunter. I'll say that right now. He's not like I can't wait to just go hunt all the time. He's not that guy. And I got no problem with that. But he still enjoys hunting and wants to go hunting. So that's great. Like I said, not everybody has to be a diehard. You don't have to get your kids that have to be obsessed with it. Not everybody's going to be that way. Everybody's going to find their path in life and find their passion. His passion is not, what drives him is not hunting, but he still enjoys hunting. And that's what matters to me. I don't need all my kids to be like die hard, like you have to hunt, So, and my 9-year-old daughter, she wants to hunt. She wants to go kill a deer. And she's the same way. She's not a diehard, but she enjoys it. She has fun. She wants to go. And that's what matters. I don't know how that's going to be as she keeps getting older, but we're just going to keep rolling with it. We're laying a foundation. That's the main thing to me. So, yeah. Tell me what you guys think. Anybody that does have kids, anybody that does listen to this, if you have kids, and you've gotten your kids into hunting, or maybe you're trying to get them into hunting, or maybe you're older and you have older kids now that are my age, or 20s or 30s or something like that. Like, what did you do? I'd be curious to know. Leave me a comment. What you do, because I like to hear all the different ways that people have done it and see how it works. So, all right. So I was gonna obviously I saw I had a comment again from Joseph again. Thank you for commenting again, and glad the podcast is back. I'm glad it's back too. Doing my best to try and get more out. Sometimes it's just hard to honestly find topics to talk about. When you have somebody on, it's a lot easier, which I do have a few people that I'm going to try and get on over the next month. But scheduling is always tough. But thanks for commenting again. I do appreciate that. And I will say, I agree with you. There's not many hunting podcasts out in Nebraska, and that was part of the reason I decided to start this. And maybe there's more that I don't know about, but there just definitely isn't a lot. Jake Downs does one. I've actually met Jake, really great guy. Total goofball. He has a very different personality on his podcast. So, that's why he said he wasn't your style particularly. And I totally get that. I can understand why, but I will say he's a really good guy, very genuine. And that dude kills a lot of stuff. Like what that dude has done in his hunting career is insane. So, shout out to Jake. What you see is what you get with him. He's a good dude. And, at least there's one other hunting podcast. If there's any other ones that people know about, let me know. I'd love to listen to them. I'm always looking for something new. Last thing I was going to talk about today, and this might not matter for most people, but I don't know, it kind of matters to me. It kind of bothers me sometimes. I watch a lot of YouTube hunting shows because, I don't know, you get bored and they're fun to watch. And obviously we, have a YouTube channel with my buddies, and I'm not sitting here saying I'm a professional videographer. I know what I'm doing, and I know how to do a lot and put out good footage if I really try and really care. But the one thing that's just been really bothering me and annoying me lately, because I follow some of them on like Instagram, is they shoot a doe or something like that. Good for you. You shot a doe. That's great. I got, whatever. But then they're always just like, they post, this footage is so fire, guys. You're not going to believe how great this footage is. It's the best footage I've ever done. And I see this from like multiple different people, and I'm just like, all right, cool. And then you watch it and you're like, how is this the best footage ever? What makes it so great? It's just a normal shot with a camera. All right, good job. You did it. Like, and again, like I'm not saying like I'm amazing, but I know what good footage is and what bad footage is. And your camera can make a difference. It does make a difference. But also, if you know how to run a camera, you can use a mediocre camera and make your footage look really good. Number one, you have to know how a camera works and how to use it. And number two, you have to know how to edit, because you can make your footage look 10 times better when you edit it. You have to shoot it properly first, and then when you go to edit it, you can make it look incredible. But all these people that are always like, the footage is so good, it's the best footage ever. It's like, okay, if the footage was so good, then why doesn't it look better than anything else you've done? Is it because you don't know how to edit, or you just really don't know how to even run a camera? Because it doesn't look any different, and it's not fire footage. And this might not matter to people. You know, if you don't film your hunts, I get it. A lot of people don't, and I only do it because I love it. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes just influencers, they just annoy the shit out of me sometimes. I mean, I get it. Like, especially people that do it full time. Like, good for you. That's awesome. I'm glad you have a following and stuff. But sometimes it just bothers me. Probably bothers me more than it should. I don't know. That's just one of the things I was thinking about, because I just keep seeing these people, and then like I see these other, some other ones recently, like when they buy new camera gear and they're just like, bought this new camera gear, investing in myself, like investing in my brand. It's like, all right, cool. Are you going to learn how to use it? Are you going to learn how to edit better? Is your footage or your episodes or whatever going to look literally any different than what it does now? Like, you just went and spent probably $5,000 to $8,000 on camera equipment. Is it going to look any different than what you're shooting now? Because like I said, you can use a mediocre camera and get really good footage if you know how to use it. The camera I use that I'm filming right now on is a almost $4,000 camera that I bought 5 years ago. And the camera I used before that was, what did I pay for that camera? $1,600. And I got really good footage with that camera because I knew how to use it. I will say this one does put out a little bit better footage, but as far as 90% of the population, they're not going to really know the difference, probably, honestly, between the two if you use them properly. But yeah, I don't know. It's the same thing with all these people that always put out their hunting films, quote unquote. Like, everybody's like, oh yeah, I put out a film, or yeah, we're working on this film. It's like, you don't even know what a fucking film is. Like, you don't understand how film works. I just always laugh at that. It just makes me chuckle. And I've been wanting to put out an actual film for years. It's just a lot of times it's a matter of, you got to have the drive and the time to do it. Because again, if you want to put out an actual film, there's a lot of work that goes into it. Like going out and doing a hunt and then just editing it and putting some suspenseful music to it and some cool shots. That's not a film. It's just a video, just like any other one. So if you want to do a film, you better plan out a lot of stuff and get all the shots you want. Like, there's a lot that goes into it to honestly be considered a film, in my opinion. Like, don't just go shoot a hunt and edit it and call it a film just because you tried to make something dramatic. Like, that's not a film. So stop calling it that and stop saying you're putting out a film. You're putting out a YouTube video. I don't know. And honestly, like, anymore, like, I used to be that way, kind of like with our YouTube channel. Like, I always wanted to like put out very cinematic stuff. And then I just realized, I was like, this is just so much work to try and like actually make it really, really different and really good. Like, not saying I can't, but it's just it's a lot, especially for filming a hunt. Like, that's really hard to do when you're filming a hunt. Like, it's It is not easy. So anymore, like I just do basic edits and I don't care. Like I'm not trying to put out a film or something super cinematic, like production type stuff. It's just, you have to have a lot more time and effort to go into that. And it takes a lot of work, and I'm okay not doing that. I'd rather just show people the hunt. There's times that like I have ideas. I have a couple really good ideas I'd love to do. But again, you got to have the time for it. And it takes a lot to get the shots that you want and set up, and it's different. So, but yeah, a lot of YouTubers, they just, yeah, this footage is fire. It's the best footage. It's like, it's not that great. First of all, your footage might have been decent, but I can tell when you put the video out, when you edited it, you didn't even do the basics to make it look better. You literally just shot it and just threw it on a timeline on an editing software, made your cuts, and that's it. There's so many more things you should do to each shot to make it better. Just literally adjusting your exposure on your shots will literally make your footage 10 times better. Just getting the exposure adjusted. If you ever heard of a histogram, get your histogram up, do your adjustments, it's like not even a full color grade, just your adjustments to your exposure make a big difference. And then looking at even making sure your white balance is set properly. That's the biggest one that you'll see. Most people won't know it or know why the footage doesn't look as good. Is your white balance is usually off. First thing you should do is your white balance should be set, and you should go fix your white balance. Just doing that alone. Those two things, fix your white balance and fix your exposure. Those two things alone will make your footage look 10 times better than when it comes out of the camera. Everybody just wants to shoot it with the camera and be like, oh, this looks awesome. It's like, yeah, but you could make that footage look 10 times better by doing your white balance adjustment and your exposure adjustment. And that's without even doing a color grade to it, just the two things. So, and I would say 95% of YouTube hunters don't know how to do either of those. They probably don't even know what those are half the time. But there's a lot more I could dive into on that. I'd love to do more with it. But a lot of it is just effort, time, and when you're self-filming, it's kind of tough. When you're self-filming, it's tough to get certain shots. That's why I always find it funny when people do their films, but they self-film the whole thing. It's like, to self-film and make a film, that's tough. I remember I watched one time, and I have no idea who it was, and it was really good though, I will say. And I don't remember who it was, but they did a great job. I wouldn't necessarily say the footage was the most top-notch, but the way they pieced it all together and the shots that they got for self-filming was actually really good. And I wish I knew who that was, but it was really good. It was somebody that I'd never heard of. It wasn't like a big name person or anything like that. But yeah, so that's my other thing I was just gonna kind of bitch and complain about, was YouTubers saying their footage is fire and it's really not that great. Like, it's nothing to write home about. Not saying mine is either, but sometimes it's a lot better than that because I know how to do the basics. But if you don't care about YouTube hunters or just hunting shows in general, that's fine. Doesn't bother me. That's just my rant for the day. So I don't think I really have anything else. I'm leaving in 2 days to go on a public land hunt with Ted. We're going to go have fun. Hopefully go kill one, maybe two, if we get lucky. I'm about to send an arrow 90 yards if I have to. Probably miss, but I'll go for it. Maybe it's not an ethical shot, but no, hopefully we'll get on one and get a decent shot at one. Have some good luck, and if not, at least see some deer and have some opportunities to maybe try and get one. But pretty excited for that. I'm going to take all the podcast stuff with while we're out there. Probably do a little midweek podcast, and then after that, we'll probably do a full podcast when we get back and talk about the whole trip and kind of our experience with the whole Public Land Warrior Challenge. So thanks for listening and watching, guys. Appreciate it. Leave me any comments if you got anything, and we'll catch you next time.